It sounds a little bit like you're wanting us to believe in some kind of parallel universe. So you say again and again, we are cutting waiting lists, except you've just then admitted that the overall waiting list isn't coming down. Isn't it important actually to say and to admit that overall waiting lists remain an enormous problem, and people's experience doesn't match up with you saying repeatedly that waiting lists are coming down? Because they're not in many cases.
That's literally what I said in January, Laura. When I gave my speech about the 5 priorities, cutting waiting lists is rightly on there because it is a priority for the country, because the waiting lists are too high. People are waiting too long. That's why it's one of my 5 priorities. And I was very clear then about what our timetable was to improve things. And we're delivering against that timetable. And I said very transparently and clearly then in January that the overall waiting list itself was not expected to start coming down until next year. But that doesn't take away from the fact that right now, the NHS, as a result of our investment and the plans that we've put in place, is treating more people than it has ever done. It just will take us a little bit of time to work through the backlog that built up during COVID. I think people can see that. But look, if you asked again about specifics, people were waiting completely unacceptably an hour and a half for ambulances over the winter, and that has come down to around half an hour. We're close to 75% of people being seen within 4 hours at A&E. Again, that was not happening in the winter.
So there has been progress.
So there has been progress, but I've always said that these things are not going to happen overnight. They will take time, but I want people to know that this is really important because we've spent now a lot of time talking about the short term. What we're going to do this week is something about the long term, and governments should make the right long-term decisions for the country. It has never been done before. People have always said the NHS needs a long-term plan, so we hire more doctors, more nurses, more GPs, and yes, I'm not going to, as you say, like it takes 5, 10, 15 years for these things to come through. That doesn't mean it's the wrong thing for me to do, because I'm focused on doing the right long-term things for the country.
And you've made that clear, but